Welcome back, everyone, to In Good Company. It's always a blessing to be in good company. And I got a special guest today, my brother, Alton Peques. He is someone I've known since our days at Carolina. Shout out to the Tar Heels out there and just watching his journey. Everything that he touched turns gold. It's been incredible. Back in Carolina days, he was crowned Mr. UNC. He went on to work at BBDO, Amazon, and Apple, to now being in product at LinkedIn while also running Nexus Commerce and leading product at Forefront. He's a proof that you don't have to just have one lane, and the things that he's involved in, he's very intentional about being excellent at it. And so Alta Peques is definitely one to be in good company with. What I respect most is how he's built real things, not just titles. He's actually built real things, and I respect builders. And we've worked and we've collaborated together. And Alton, welcome to In Good Company. I hope I did you justice right there.
Yes, appreciate it, bro. Thank you. It's a
Yes,
pleasure.
sir. Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure, man. Every time that we get together, the sparks just start to fly. A lot of the different ideas that we come up with, we talk about AI, talk about technology, you name it. It's a lot of different areas that we go into during our conversations and just talking about how to navigate this world. And yeah, so I'll start off. I'll say, if you want to give any other introduction about yourself, tell people a little bit about what you do and who you are too.
Okay, thank you for having me. My name's Alton Peques. I'm currently based in the Bay Area, but I'm originally from Charlotte and grew up there. Born in a town called Sanford, North Carolina, not too far from Raleigh, Chapel Hill area. And yeah, I moved out to California a few years ago for work. I would describe myself as a product builder. So a lot of my work relates to building solutions, tools that help teams and people collaborate more effectively. And right now, I'm doing that type of work at LinkedIn as a part of the Associate Product Builder program, and then also do that work with Forefront, a UGC platform founded by Jordan Weaver, and then with my own company, Nexus Commerce, which is a platform that connects Shopify stores to solutions and their teams of solutions. So yeah, it's a little bit about me, like what I'm up to right now.
Yep. And Alton is a perfect example of a multi-hyphenate. I think in this day and age, you got to be able to, well, not everyone, but if you can master that skill of wearing different hats, walking in different contexts, different conversations, and different levels of business, it's a wonderful skill that really can't be taught. You learn it from experience. In juggling all of those things out there, how have you been able to manage it?
Yeah. I think like from a time standpoint, just real particular task management and always iterating that process of like managing my priorities. I've gone through different iterations of that. But particularly I use Airtable in terms of, hey, how do I manage different tasks, different responsibilities? I've used that to kind of get a picture of all the different things I need to do, be able to categorize it, be able to prioritize it based on date, based on when it's due. Also, even based on how much time it might take me to do, so I can understand like what the time I do have allotted, what do I want to focus on next, and then be able to kind of get a bird's eye view to the things I have on my deck, and then be able to remove things or add things. So that's a real like technical way as to how I go about doing it. I think like in addition to that, the nature of my work all be kind of interconnected is helpful too. Something that like over my career I've been working closer and closer to is having more harmony between all of the ventures I'm putting my time into so that I'm not context switching so much. I started, spending a lot of time as an academic researcher and then also a lot of time as a graphic designer, then a lot of time as a developer. And in terms of managing it all, that was like really challenging to be switching between all those contexts constantly, in addition to still trying to figure out managing time and tasks. So the other part to that is now my work in all the different areas are really similar projects or they, require me to have similar skills and put on the same like general hat and just apply that hat to like a different, you know, group or a different project. So that's also helpful for me personally to like keep that contact same and then like really go deep into that same area. So yeah.
I love that. And I know the key part that you mentioned there, he gave you all at least a tool to use, Airtable. So that's a wonderful tool, especially for projects and multitasking, things of that nature. But also you'll notice that there is a commonality of the things that he's involved in. It's all a part of his ecosystem. And so I love that about you because everything kind of works towards the bigger picture of who, you are as Alton. And so I love that, one of my questions I love to ask people starting off, what's something that you believe that most people in your industry would disagree with today?
I think a hot topic is the nature of the full stack builder rising. And the role of AI, I think, is like helping not only make work easier and more efficient and cut costs, but that's collapsing things in terms of traditional roles that existed, evolve into maybe not exist in the format that they do today or at all. And I think the future of work will benefit, to your point earlier, people who are able to be multi-hyphenates and able to like lean into different parts of themselves, different skills, which is it seems normal or it seems like obvious today, but that is a very like new concept. Because for years people were incentivized to go deep into a particular topic and
Hmm.
it's incentivized that bound. So like if you're an engineer, you go to engineering school. If you're a political scientist, you go to, school for that particular topic. If you're a nurse, you go to nursing school. Like you stay in your particular lane and then the structure of schooling kind of reflects that, both undergrad, grad, the structure of companies reflects that too. And then a lot of people have experience going into a company that wanted to do different things or wanting to transition
Hmm.
to, which created an entire industry of, MBAs and master's programs. People are literally paying just for the opportunity to transition into something new. Like I'm kind of,
Hmm.
I mean, there's this whole ecosystem that was created and proliferated and like maintained that kept people in silos. And there's, an economic outcome to that where, paying for a particular degree or particular certification, you're not like building this mindset or even skill set where you can do different things at once or even tap
Hmm.
skill sets. I think that like, yeah, in the future, increasingly people are becoming more aware of this, that it'll be imperative for you to be able to have those different skills, be a creative, be a strategist, be a builder, all at once, or at least be able to tap into those mindsets within your role. So I think that's something that um, I think people are becoming more aware too in tech, but it's definitely
Hmm.
a frightening venture. Because what if you don't care about that? Like, what if you're like, I don't want to do that? Like, I'm cool with what I'm doing it. Or what if
Yep.
it's disrupting your entire department or, causing mass layoffs. So it's a lot of uncertainty as to like what the long-term impact of that is, but that would be my opinion that maybe people aren't as prone to want to jump on board with.
No, definitely. I think for sure people are being confronted with the idea of, hey, I can't do what I've been doing for many years. I can't continue to keep doing that and keep up with what's going on because you can I think what's going to happen you almost have to be like a Swiss army knife of just being able to have high level knowledge and then being able to leverage whatever tools, advanced tools, AI tools, whatnot, to help you with doing more deeper work. So I think there's a new skill set I think that's being developed, like you mentioned, for in the current time being, I think people will be able to, stick with their one role and being very deep and being a specialist. But I often tell people to kind of open up your eyes a little bit. If a intelligent tool is able to do the work that you're doing, figure out how to be the manager and the navigator of that tool to be able to do multiple things. And so, that's kind of my thoughts on that too.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I think so. There's a lot of people, the subset of people who already are doing that. They're already that hyphenate. I think it's just a mindset shift of going ahead and claiming that badge for yourself. And like you already have the tools, you're already doing multiple things in the flow of your work. Whether you're, the urban planner that also like has the ability to do soft skills, which is speaking to people directly, or
mhm,
generate Excel spreadsheets, or write formulas, or communicate via email, or manage projects and timelines, or design programs, or launch programs, interact with people who are, your superior, or people who might be at the intern or associate level. Like there's a lot of different hats people already wear. You got people making graphics for company events or designing slide
mhm.
or presentations. Like a lot of people already do that. They just maybe don't see themselves as being that. And that's the mindset shift in terms of taking a step back and realizing, hey, I'm actually doing multiple roles. Like I actually have multiple expertise here and actually claim that deeper and leverage AI to like allow myself to, you know, enhance those things I'm already doing. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that too. I think there are people who already are that, and just a matter of like identifying that stuff in yourself. Yeah,
Definitely. And I was speaking with someone as well, another guest, and he said that he always never had a fear of intellectual curiosity. And so in this days, we're in the information age. I think it's evolving into something else now, but continue to, for people out there just to have that intellectual curiosity and to challenge yourself, you'd be surprised what you're actually able to do, for sure. Yeah, one thing uh, question I had, wanted to get your thoughts on this is, throughout your career, you're still young, you got a lot to go. He's a budding rock star, superstar out here. But what's a decision that you made that maybe everyone thought was wrong, or maybe a few people around you thought was wrong, but you're glad that you actually stuck with that?
question. Man, coming to
Hmm.
California, I think on 2 occasions,
Mm,
I ended up graduating the following year from my original graduating class. So I finished my coursework in like the fall of 2020. And at that point, I could have just left UNC and went to go work a job. And I was actually preparing to do that. I was like interviewing for jobs and stuff like that. But I had the opportunity to kind of stay for another semester, not because I had to, but because I just had the opportunity to do that through having funding for the year. Um, through Carolina Covenant, which shout out to that. Let me explore how I can like enhance this experience I have before I leave Carolina. I ended up applying for a program through Schufert, the minor I took in entrepreneurship. Bernard Bell at UNC was a huge part of like
shout out.
helping with that application process and the door with getting that in at the last minute. And yeah, that was a decision where I like, hey, I'm already slated to like graduate, go start making money, enter the workforce. But there's an opportunity here for me to like still stay in school and continue learning and like bolster, my academic experience and just work experience too. So that was the first decision. The second
Hmm.
program, there was two options, whether to go to San Francisco or go to London and do a semester where you're studying and learning entrepreneurship and working at a company with a cohort. And I decided to come to San Francisco, which at the time, I'm like, man, I've been to London, haven't gone that far before. On the surface, it seems like a exciting opportunity, which it was, but San Francisco ended up being like the best decision because coming here was my first time ever being in California, and it's opened my mind to so much. One, like working in companies that had a whole different culture and pace that allowed me to think and create in a way that I hadn't been able to do before. Roommates that were, both in my cohort, but also just young professionals in the Bay, working, building their own companies, having like an intimate experience, watching someone stay up late, building their startup while working a full-time job, and then watching their entire
Wow.
journey towards like getting into an accelerator and like having that like real moment and like crying about it and like going like celebrating about it. Like now watch you written
Hmm.
every night. I'm going to class, I'm going to work, coming back, you're still up, that type of experience.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
only like intangible things that you can't really manufacture just by exposure of being here. So I think I wouldn't say that I had a community of people telling me not to do that. I didn't have any like haters or like naysayers or anything, but I think it wasn't like the obvious choice.
Hmm.
It out to be like a great long term investment because that's what exposed me to the companies here, the nature of work that I do now. So yeah, I definitely think that decision and then coming here was a big decision for me.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It probably wasn't, hey, people weren't telling you don't do it, but you probably didn't have direct examples of doing that and, I guess being successful until you got a part of the Shoot for program, and you learned about that opportunity going to out there to Cali. So, I think that so the exposure was probably in opening up your eyes. I actually that was I wouldn't say regret. I don't regret things in life, but same similarly, shout out to Bernard Bell. That's what he told me. Bernard Bell, a former vice president of TV One. He told me, because I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. He's from Greensboro as well. He told me, hey, you got to get out of North Carolina. You got to go to California. And I didn't understand it at the time. But what Alton just explained there regarding being in an environment that cultivates innovation and you're seeing people build products, you're seeing people work tirelessly throughout the night on their dream and on their ideas, but you're all working together, or at least you're bunked up, in a apartment space. Seeing that, you can't recreate that, elsewhere. If you would have just stayed in North Carolina, got a job, been in an apartment by yourself, you're going about your day to day. But actually being in an environment like that, that's why, I never understood that. A lot of people told me, regarding California, New York is similar as well. So being in those environments actually can help cultivate that for you. So
Yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very the culture, like, and even today, like, I'll walk from the office and, like, look over and there's a startup, there are people working on an idea or working on whatever they're working on, or you might be at dinner on a Saturday night, look up and someone's in their apartment at their desk, like, working on, like, a concept or an idea, which people have opinions on, but it's very much the lifeblood of what births a lot of the experiences that we have as a consumer, where things like Instacart are created or a DoorDash. Like, it literally boils down to like a few people with an idea and some co-working space or an apartment, 10 miles from where I'm at right now, so that it, my culture, it was really, yeah, it was like mind opening and like super transformative. So yeah, shout out to Bernard Bell for that opportunity.
yeah, shout out the OG. Got to sync with him. Yeah, I know me and Alton can go on tangents every now and then. This next one I have for you. What do you think most people may misunderstand about what you do?
I mean, I think, especially now with like the idea of being a full stack builder is very new. So I'm part of this associate product builder program, which is really to me like a reflection of the nature of the work I've been doing pretty much up until this point, like since college, wearing multiple hats, being the strategist, being the designer, being the developer, being the marketer, like doing all of that at once to bring an idea to life. I think people can grasp often the design or the end product, which is like the coding or the engineering of something, but the part that I enjoy the most, which is the strategy and the research that goes into it. I think that's a part of like what I do that people may not be as familiar with, or it's not as necessarily like prevalent when you see it in product. Um, Competitive research or understanding users or talking to users or interviewing them or, um, you know, collating reviews and comments and doing text analysis to see what phrases are often said or what themes are popping up to like guide the decisions
Mhm.
so that like if I'm recommending a route or a process or a new feature or change, it's always backed by an amalgamation of different sources of information, whether it be just simple desk research, like looking on social media, or what people, users are actually doing with the platform or the product, what competitors do well, and what has contributed to their success. Like that process is something that I learned when I was interning and working at BBDO.
Mhm.
And that training taught me the importance of all of those things need to be clicking. Like, what's the truth for the customer? What's the truth for the business? What's the truth for the moment? What's happening in culture right now? Like, how all these things come together to converge at one point and generate insight, which then influences what you produce, whether it be a blog or a film or app or a website. So I think that's the process that kind of feeds into all the work that I do that people may not be as exposed to, but I'm always happy to like talk about that part because that's the part that like excites me. Like, how do we get to this point?
Definitely understanding foundationally, and having a structure around how you think about solving a problem. I think is definitely key. Another one that I have for you: who's someone who has shaped how you think about work or life today?
Question.
Probably a lot of inspirations.
Yeah. Honestly, bro, it'll be you. Definitely you. Yeah.
Man, man, not me.
'Cause Jeremy, most people don't know the story, but Jeremy, I initially met Jeremy through being a part of Project Uplift. And then I was also part of a program called Project Uplift Plus. So I spent
Shout out.
but the entire summer going into my senior year of high school at UNC taking classes and I had a lot of great counselors and Jeremy was one of them. So that was a really dope experience because I got exposed to like college and just the culture of what it means to be a college student and like to balance a bunch of different things at once. But yeah, in that, I think once I got to Carolina, I had that relationship with Jeremy. I had a lot of ideas and like he was a person that really empowered me to build. And that was the first time got into building tangibly in platforms. So like the first website I built for like an organization was through working with Jeremy with the Black Student
Yeah.
Movement, and we like redesigned the website. It's like,
And
hey
it's
man,
still there today. They don't
yes.
even know it.
Hey, so that was like a real like situation of yeah, I'm building something. Check out what I'm building. This is Squarespace. This is what I've done so far. I have other priorities. I know you're interested in this. Hey, do you want to do this? Cool. I'll give you the autonomy to do it, be creative. And then that was like the first time I had experience doing that, but also like realize that, hey, there's a world where I can be a product builder. I can build things that impact people at scale. And I can apply my creativity beyond the scope of just like my own, creative outlet. Cause prior to that in high school, I would like build blogs on Tumblr. I spent a lot of time as a kid on MySpace, like coding my MySpace page. And it was, framework. And in high school, like started a school newspaper, but it wasn't like to this degree where, BSM was such a large organization and it had such a like real functional need. And it wasn't just, hey, we need a website. It's like, no, people need a place to go to know what we're up to. Our different committee leads need a place to be to rely on to be able to like post their own content, to interact with their own community members. So yeah, I think
Mhm.
that changed my perspective of like who I was as a student. And it really snowballed me into a lot. So from there, I started building websites for other organizations. I started doing flyers and graphics for other organizations as well. Then that
Mhm.
merged into me like crafting the business, which came from my pro fight. Kalani, he was like, "Yo, like you can. Have you ever thought about like starting a business?" I'm like, I mean, I'm doing this. I'm making some money, but like, yeah, I guess.
He was like, "Yeah,
The
I'll try it."
one conversation where it was like, "Dude, like you're right. Like I can, formalize this and make a business from it." So
Mhm.
those two interactions I feel like were super important to me and like really changed the way I saw myself and also like business and work and like what I could do with my time. So yeah.
Oh, man. Definitely. Hey, look, I promise you I didn't pay Alton to say that, but more even Alton says that, but also he's been a big help for me as well. Having somebody younger who's able to see things a little bit differently than me at the time. We don't have that big of an age gap, but at the time, Alton and I will get on calls and we'll just be, coming up with ideas or thinking about different concepts and we still work to this day on different things, especially trying to keep up with things in the AI space today. But it's almost like lighting a fire to wood whenever we connect, because the way that he thinks about the world or design is different than how I may think about it. But so you never really know how impactful the relationships that you have. And so I appreciate you just for even saying that. And that's a good reminder, even for me. We don't know the people that we impact. So much love on that one, definitely. Leading off of that, what would you say is a problem that you're trying to solve right now that no one's talking about?
Yeah, yeah. A problem I've become obsessed with recently is information retrieval and like connected intelligence for businesses when they're leveraging AI to do their work, no matter where they use it. So my idea around that is that there's a need for, let's say, a brand to have a consolidated space where insight about their company, their goals, their team members, what their team members do, how their teams are performing, how their site's performing, how their orders are performing, how their customers behaving. All that information, that rich insight, usually exists in silos. They're usually in different apps and different dashboards. Um,
Mhm.
Tools that help to unite that, where you have a dashboard that has all your analytics, or now with AI it generates a report. But that information being not only consolidated into one place, but also refactored and produced in the way you can use it inside an LLM or inside AI tool or inside your space. Like that's the thing that I'm really concerned with recently. And that's what I'm working on particularly with Nexus Commerce. So if you, let's say, are a e-commerce brand and you're working on a project, how does it look to not only generate a task, but that task or project be strategic based on how your customers are behaving, how your store is performing, how your competitors are behaving, what's trending in the industry, what recent research says about that particular initiative you're trying to embark upon. So this is a process that really good strategists and team leaders in that space will do across every industry.
Mhm.
Store owner or you're on a bakery or you're in, landscaping, like this concept of pulling in different sources of information to arrive at an insight and then, do things strategically is a process people do, but it's very siloed. So what I'm working on now is building that framework and that system that for businesses at scale can pull that information in, reformat
Mhm.
it, that it could be used in those different spaces where you naturally do your work. So if your team is naturally using ChatGPT or Claude to do their work, how does having a companion that has all that rich insight with you look in terms of transforming what you do, what you prioritize? How does doing projects in Trello or Asana with that companion look when you have all that rich insight as a companion? So yeah, that's like the area that I'm like really invested in now and learning about a lot and building and testing and iterating for.
Especially if you have e-commerce business, check out Nexus Commerce. Wonderful business to help you with scaling and growing and taking that strategy approach and amplifying that with a companion, an AI companion, right? So, that's definitely one. I'll let you speak more on that too once we wrap up. Last question I have for you, and I'll get you out of here. If you could ask the world one question and get an honest answer, what would it be? If you could ask the world one question and get an honest answer today, what would it be?
Interesting. That's an interesting question.
Hmm? This one sometimes stumps people.
Yeah, probably like, who are you? You know, in a sense, like not based on the titles that's been assigned to you or even the name that was assigned to you at birth, but like, who are you? Like, who have you become? Who do you see yourself as? If I can get an honest answer to that question, I think that's so revealing about someone's experiences, what they've seen, what they do, but also how they think, and how they perceive themselves in the world and perceive the world itself. So if I can get that honest answer, because we're always like, I think it's just a way we have come to be comfortable with communicating with each other. Like we're interacting through these titles and like through these characters that we are like playing a role in, like you're a friend or I'm a XYZ person. Even if you like level that up and try to like extract yourself from a job or a company, you're still like defining yourself through the lens of a role or labor or responsibility and not like just who you are as a person.
Hmm.
I think a truly honest answer, that would be really cool if I can get that from the world or from people in general. Cause I think it reveals so much more about yourself beyond like what you do and like what you're responsible for in life and like who you actually are
Hmm.
and like a human being and what like gets your soul on fire, what makes you motivated, what interests you naturally, what you care about. Yeah. So I think that would be the question I would ask, like, who are you?
I love that. I love that. A lot of times we allow the titles of the world and we try to fit into that consistently. And so, um, we're then walking around as characters as opposed to, an essential being, an essential person. Who exactly are you? So allow that to show.
Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense. It's the way we interact with each other is like it makes sense. It gives us order. Like I get it. I'm
Hmm.
go too deep on that topic, but I think a
Yeah.
next of that is potentially stoking your worth in that as well. And
Hmm.
not seeing the worth of yourself as just a being beyond without a label. So that's kind of the reason. And I think there's so much more depth to people than we let on, or that we even reveal to ourselves. So I think it's a powerful like question even to ask yourself and like even with affirming yourself and giving yourself a time each day to like say I am, and then insert a description of
Hmm.
yourself on like being a dad or a mom or a son or a brother or you know XYZ employee at insert here company. I think it does like wonders for your psyche of like redefining yourself internally, like how you show up and how you see yourself. So that's something that I try to do daily, just in terms of gratifying myself and affirming myself through like I am statements. But it helps me like kind of take a step back and strip away at that moment, I kind of reframe my day, not through the lens of
Hmm.
existing through this paradigm of being a product manager or a CEO,
Hmm.
friend or a partner, that type of thing. So, yeah.
Most definitely. That's a wonderful perspective to have. And so I challenge you all to take Alton's advice there, and asking the question of who are you? Right. So love that, bro. And yeah, I'm gonna get you out of here. This has been, one of the greatest episodes already. I'm loving this series, being able to give people their flowers because you are very much appreciated. Before we get out of here, is there anything that you would like to say? Where can people find you? Projects that you're working on? You mentioned Nexus Commerce. Anything else that you would like to leave the people with?
But yeah, I appreciate that. You can find me on Instagram and LinkedIn. There are like sharing ideas I have around these topics: AI, product building, e-commerce. You can also find my company at nexuscommerce.co. They're brands that are in the Shopify space looking to turn their data into action, leveraging AI. It's a very simple, seamless process to sign up, and that's a place where you can get started. You can also find me in Jordan as well at Forefront. So forefrontatl.com. If you are a Black business or a creator that identifies as Black as well, we really specialize in connecting those groups to create influencer marketing content, user generated content. So through that platform, you're able to sign up from a brand point of view or creator point of view and create content and collaborate. There's also a lot of events that Jordan's leading as well that are happening in the Atlanta area. So you can follow Forefront as well on social media and then stay in tune for that too. So yeah,
Definitely. Yep. At Forefront ATL, at Nexus Commerce, at Alton Peques, a man of many different talents and skills. Thank you so much. And definitely stay tuned. Alton's got some big things that's going to be coming. You definitely want to follow along with his journey. Thank you all for being in good company. And I thank you, Alton, as well. It's been great, bro. We'll
thank
chop
you.
it up soon.
Thank you for your time, bro. I appreciate the love.
Yes, sir.